Discover the incredible love story. A CEO's heartwarming blind date revealed an unexpected flame. Emily stepped into the diner, the smell of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon wrapping around her like a warm hug. The walls were adorned with photos that told countless tales of laughter and love, echoing moments of her childhood. She felt a rush of nostalgia, the kind that found a home in her heart and reminded her of her father. With each step, she was determined to honor his memory, pushing aside her worries about student debt and budget cuts that threatened her beloved school. Today, hope ignited. Across town, Jake stared out at the Philadelphia skyline from his penthouse, the city lights flickering like stars trapped in glass. He felt the weight of his wealth pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. Why was it easier to make deals in the boardroom than connect with his own family? Behind the polished facade, he felt a longing for something real, something deeper, a connection. As he arrived at the diner, he hoped, just hoped, this blind date would break through the walls he'd built. Their eyes met as he entered, a spark of recognition suddenly igniting in Emily's chest. She shifted in her seat, her innate prejudices flashing through her mind. A CEO? Why would he care about a teacher like her? But as they exchanged polite hellos, laughter bubbled to the surface, easing the tension. Each smile, each word became a thread weaving their stories together. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With every sip of milkshake, Emily shared snippets of her life, her resilient students, her dedication to her school, her father's unwavering values. Jake listened intently, his heart swelling as he caught glimpses of the strength that built her. But beneath the surface, lingering doubts loomed. Could he ever be seen for more than his wealth? Would she accept him if she knew how his parents measured worth in dollars? Then came the moment that shifted everything. Emily's phone buzzed, and with a frown, she glanced at the screen. The budget cuts were real, and her heart sank. The school she loved, the safe haven for her students, was crumbling. Despair clawed at her throat. Would she lose it all? She fought tears, her pride choking her words, feeling as if her dreams were slipping through her fingers. Jake sensed her anguish. Taking a deep breath, he felt compelled to act. As they discussed solutions, he offered help. Friends and resources he could leverage, connections he could use. He thought of every child deserving a chance, of every teacher fighting for their future. But that act of kindness ignited a storm in her community. Would they rally around her or resent her for accepting help from the likes of him? Yet, just as the tension peaked, a shocking truth shattered Jake's world. His estranged mother was president of the school board. The idea terrified him. How could he juggle family ties while navigating his feelings for Emily? As their eyes locked, the reality of their situations crashed down on them. Could love bridge this social divide and heal old wounds? With the scent of fries swirling and laughter fading into an anxious silence, the future of their connection hung vulnerable and unresolved. Would they rise to meet the challenges ahead, or let doubts tear them apart before they even began? The silence stretched between them, laden with unspoken fears and possibilities. Emily could see strength in Jake, but the shadow of his wealth cast a veil over her heart. She wanted to trust this moment, to believe that the connection they forged over milkshakes was genuine. Yet, the implications of what he offered danced like specters in her mind. Could she accept his help without feeling like a fraud? Jake leaned back in his seat, studying her. "I know it sounds insane," he began, his voice steadier than he felt, "but my mother, she's the president of the school board. I've been disconnected from my family for so long, I hardly know her anymore. But she has power. If you'd let me, I could talk to her." See if we can at least understand what's happening from her end. Emily blinked, processing his words. His honesty surprised her. You think she'll listen? She has to. Jake's brow furrowed, determination shining in his eyes. For your students, for their future. And our future. I really believe that. Your future? The weight of those words settled heavy in the air. The possibility of them as a pair felt thrilling and terrifying. The notion that their lives intertwined caused a flutter in her chest, but that flutter was accompanied by doubts. What did a CEO know of struggle? She steadied her voice. You don't know what it's like to be in my shoes. You think money can solve everything. Maybe it can't, he admitted, the hint of vulnerability in his tone striking a chord within her. But I know people. I know how systems work. I want to help because I want to support you, not because I want to prove to anyone that I'm worthy. She studied him, searching for pretense, for the facade that wealthy men often wore. But all she saw was sincerity. In that moment, a glimmer of hope sparked once more. If you really want to help, it has to be a partnership. I won't let you fight this battle alone. But we both have to be careful about how others see us. Agreed. Jake leaned forward, his eyes blazing with conviction. I don't want to just throw money at this, Emily. I want to fight alongside you. We can shape this into something positive, together. Their exchange lit a fire within her. Emily felt fierce gratitude mixed with determination. If they could face the world together, maybe they could redefine the narrative itself, show that love could rise above class, status, and old wounds. Just then, the server came over, breaking the tension with a cheerful inquiry about dessert. They both laughed, the air lightening for a moment before the weight of their conversation settled back in. Haven Tea even thought that far ahead. Emily responded, her smile genuine. As they placed an order for a giant slice of pie to share, she felt the warmth of connection seep deeper into her being. But as they sat sharing the cake, truth washed over Emily. Could she really trust Jake enough to let him in? As she took a bite, the sweet taste reminded her of life's possibilities. Jake's phone buzzed, snapping them back to reality. His expression shifted, apprehension practical and immediate. I have a meeting in a bit, he said reluctantly. But I don't want this to end here. Can we meet again tomorrow? She nodded, her heart racing. This was more than a friendly encounter. It felt like a new beginning, but the shadows of uncertainty loomed once more. Tomorrow it is, then, she replied softly. But we have a lot to figure out. As he stood to leave, Jake caught her eye, a flicker of reassurance passing between them. With a resolve to tackle this journey together, he walked away, but all she could think about was the ticking clock of change and the choices awaiting them both. What would happen when they faced his mother? Would they find understanding or another layer of conflict? The next day was a mix of excitement and nerves for Emily. She spent the morning pacing her small apartment, contemplating their conversation from the previous night. What if Jake's mother rejected their plea? What if she saw Emily as nothing more than a charity case in her son's eyes? Each thought made her heart race. Around noon, she decided to immerse herself in her students' projects, hoping their creative energy would ground her. The classroom was adorned with colorful posters and artwork, each piece a testament to hard work and imagination. Watching her students collaborate and laugh, Emily felt a wave of warmth. This was what mattered, their dreams thriving, despite the looming threats against their school. Just as she settled into the rhythm of guiding them, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jake, looking forward to seeing you later. Let us meet where we left off. I'll explain everything. A shiver of anticipation sparked through her. Was he really going to confront his mother? Would he advocate for the school? She felt the weight of what was to come, potential change clasped in their hands, balanced on the edge of possibility. Later that evening, they met at a quaint coffee shop buzzing with the evening crowd. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweet scent of pastries. Jake was already there, his posture confident, yet there was an undercurrent of nerves visible in the slight furrow of his brow. "Hey," he greeted her, his voice laced with warmth. "Hey." She smiled, taking a breath. They settled into a booth in a corner, the intimacy of their surroundings calming the fluttering in her stomach. "So, what's the plan?" Jake leaned forward, his hands clasped. "I spoke to my mother. It didn't go as I hoped." He hesitated, searching for the right words. "She's skeptical, to say the least. But I told her about you, your dedication to the students. I think I got through to her a bit. She might consider talking to us." Emily felt a mixture of hope and concern. "Might? What does that mean?" He ran a hand through his hair, a sigh escaping his lips. "She won't meet right away. She has to think it over. But if we can show her the real impact on the students, the numbers, the stories, it might sway her." A fire ignited in Emily's chest. "We will show her," she said, determination hardening her resolve. "We can gather data, testimonials, everything we need to demonstrate how valuable the school is. We owe it to our kids." "Exactly," Jake agreed, his eyes lighting up. "And I'll be with you every step of the way." As they sketched out their plan, something shifted between them. The tension transformed, no longer weighted by fear or doubt, but charged with shared purpose. With each detail they discussed, Emily felt the invisible bond between them strengthen. After hours of brainstorming, they finished their coffees and stepped outside into the cool night air. "I'm really glad we're doing this," she said softly, gazing at the twinkling stars above. "It feels like it's more than just about the school now. It's about us too." Jake caught her eye, his expression softening. "You're right. I think we're in this together for more reasons than we might realize." Just then, a couple passed by, their laughter ringing through the air, juxtaposing Emily's internal reflection. Jake pulled her gently to the side as a group of loud teenagers sped past. "I know this is scary," he said, his eyes searching hers. "But I believe in us. Together, we can change things." Emily felt the warmth of his words wrap around her heart. But her mind was still a whirlpool of what-ifs and uncertainties. Could they really steer this ship through such turbulent waters? "I hope you're right," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I really do." As they shared a fleeting glance, something unspoken tumbled between them, a silent promise of what was possible. But just when it felt safe to romanticize their partnership, doubt nagged at her. Could they withstand the storm ahead? Tomorrow's meeting with his mother loomed like a shadow behind her optimism. What would her reaction be? Would love and hope be enough against the obstacles they faced? With that thought hanging heavy, they headed down the street, the path ahead shrouded in uncertainty yet glittering with the possibility of a new dawn. The sun peeked through Emily's curtains, spilling golden light across her room. She jolted awake, heart pounding. Today was the day. The day she and Jake would meet his mother. The weight of her doubts returned, but there was a flicker of hope too. After a hurried breakfast, she dressed in her favorite navy blouse, a subtle reminder of the confidence she felt in the classroom. But today, the stakes felt higher. Emily grabbed her notebook, a collection of stories from her students' testimonials of their dreams, struggles, and triumphs. This could make a difference, she thought. When she arrived at the cafe, her hands trembled as she pushed the door open. Jake was already seated at a table in the corner, his expression a mix of determination and anxiousness. She took a deep breath and joined him, the familiar warmth of his presence easing her nerves momentarily. "Hey," Jake said, his smile was reassured, but she could sense the tension underneath. "Hey," Emily replied, managing a smile. "You ready for this?" He nodded, eyeing the door. "She'll be here soon. I hope I've prepared you enough." "Trust me, I'm ready to show her just how much our school means to the kids." She felt a surge of adrenaline course through her. A few minutes later, the bell above the door jingled, and in walked Jake's mother, Anne. With an air of elegance that commanded attention. Emily's heart raced as their eyes met. She was striking, and the expression on her face hinted at skepticism. "Jake," she acknowledged, her voice measured. Then her gaze turned to Emily, cool and calculating. "And you must be Emily." "Yes, ma am." Emily stood a little taller, holding her ground against the piercing gaze. "Let us sit," and said, sliding into a seat across from them. Silence encased the trio, and Emily felt her heart hammering in her chest. She glanced at Jake, who seemed equally lost in thought, preparing for the conversation ahead. "I understand you're a teacher at the school," and started, her tone even. "Yes, I've been there for 3 years now," Emily replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Our programs there at risk, I know," and interjected. "And I want to understand why I should care." Jake glanced at Emily, then back at his mother. "Mom, this school is special. It's changed lives, including mine. And Emily, she fights for the kids every day." And raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. "I want facts, not feelings," she replied curtly. Emily clenched her fists under the table. "I have facts," she asserted, pulling her notebook closer. "I can show you the impact we have. The rise in student engagement, the improvements in grades, the stories of kids who have found hope through the programs we provide." The skepticism on Anne's face showed no signs of fading. "Show me." As Emily flipped through pages filled with data, testimonials, and stories, she searched for that spark of connection. She had to make and see what she saw every day in her classroom. Jake's mother leaned closer, her interest barely piqued. "Interesting," she said, but Emily couldn't tell if her tone was genuine or dismissive. Emily pressed on, recounting the story of a student named Miguel, whose artwork had secured him a scholarship opportunity. She brought his dreams to life, painting a picture with words, hoping to ignite something in Anne's heart. Then it happened. While speaking of a young girl shutting down due to her family's struggles, Emily felt a lump form in her throat. "This school is more than a place of learning, it's a family. We provide hope when life seems impossible." For the first time, she noticed Anne's eyes softened slightly. "And if we lose that," she said quietly, "we lose more than just programs." Emily felt a crack in the wall of tension and seized on it. "Yes, exactly. The future of these kids is tied to our ability to keep this school alive. We need your help." Silence enveloped the table again. But this time, it felt a little less heavy. And looked between them, her gaze lingering longer on Jake. The air crackled with potential. Would she finally see what they saw, the heart of their mission? Their passion? But before anyone could say another word, the phone buzzed on Anne's lap. She glanced quickly, irritation flickering across her face. "I have to take this," she said, standing up abruptly. "We'll talk later." As she walked away to take the call, Emily felt a wave of uncertainty crash over her. What just happened? She whispered to Jake, fear creeping back in. "Do we stand a chance?" Jake squeezed her hand gently, reassuringly. "We made her think. That's a start." But the meeting had left them with more questions than answers. Would they find a way to sway Anne? Could this bond they were forming help bridge the gap between their worlds? The moments stretched as they waited for her return, and Emily couldn't shake the creeping doubt. Would they find the strength they needed to fight for the kids? A new determination sparked in her eyes as she glanced at Jake. "Whatever happens next, we keep pushing forward, together, right?" "Absolutely." A faint hope mingled with uncertainty lingered as they sat in silence, wondering how their next steps might change everything. Emily stared at the cafe floor, unsure how to fill the silence that had settled between them. The tension hung thick, like the humid air before a summer storm. She could hear the distant clatter of plates and muffled voices, but it all felt like a blur. Her world had narrowed to this moment. Jake squeezed her hand again, a steadying presence in the whirlwind of her thoughts. "She'll be back soon," he said, his voice calm, but she could see flickers of worry in his eyes. "You did great, Em." "Really? Did I?" she replied, trying to match his optimism. "I don't know. I felt like I was talking to a brick wall." "Hey," Jake said, leaning closer. "You broke through a little. You made her see the kids, not just numbers." But just then, Emily's heart sank as she caught a glimpse of and returning, her phone still in hand, clad in a sharp business suit that seemed to emanate authority. That mask of composure slipped again as she ended the call and slipped her phone into her bag. "Sorry about that," she said, but her eyes were cold. Sometimes business doesn't allow for small interruptions. Emily's heart raced. "I understand," she managed to say, forcing her calm. "After all, you work hard to provide. But I'm here for the kids, and they deserve someone who fights for their future." And sat back down, arms crossed, a defensive posture taking shape. "You might be passionate, but passion isn't enough. Money talks in our world." Emily felt fire ignite in her chest. "And I'm saying it's not just about money. It's about lives. Have you ever seen a child's face light up when they realize their dreams?" She could feel the words escaping her lips, a fierce urgency guiding them. And raised an eyebrow, mildly entertained. "You think one little school can save everyone?" "It's not about saving everyone," Jake interjected, his voice firm. "It's about creating chances. We're just trying to build a bridge for them to cross over to a better future." A brief flicker of recognition passed over Anne's face, but it was gone before Emily could interpret it. The tension shifted, drawing the air between them tight. "Tell me more," she said, a hint of challenge rising in her tone, as if she wanted to test their resolve. Emily took a deep breath, pivoting toward the stories she had gathered, each one a thread in the larger tapestry they wove together at the school. "There's Ashley, a girl who never thought she'd be good at science until we started a robotics club. She showed everyone what she could achieve, and now she wants to study engineering. Imagine what the world would lose if she never got that chance." And listened, her posture slightly easing. "Impressive," she admitted, though her tone remained skeptical. "Or Marcus," Emily continued, her passion surging again. "He lost his father last year, but through our grief counseling program, he found his voice in writing. Now he is publishing poetry, inspiring others, including me. He is proof that resilience exists in even the darkest moments." Again, Emily looked into Anne's eyes, willing her to see the truth. The weight of the stories hung in the air, waiting for validation. Suddenly, Anne sat forward, her razor-sharp eyes catching something more than disdain. "What do you want from me, Emily?" Emily's heart thundered. "I want you to understand that your support can help save lives, that it can create opportunities for kids who need it most. I want to show you we're not just asking for money, we're asking for hope." The silence stretched between them again, but this time it felt charged with energy. Jake shifted in his seat, and Emily waited, holding her breath, praying for something, anything to shift in Anne. At last, Anne sighed, and for a fleeting moment, vulnerability crossed her face. "Your conviction is admirable. I can see how much you care." A flicker of warmth ignited in Emily's chest, but then Anne added, "But the question remains, can passion alone drive results in a world like mine?" Emily felt the internal conflict bubble, uncertainty spilling over. The clock on the wall ticked louder, counting moments they couldn't afford to lose. "Time isn't on our side," Jake whispered, his nerves palpable. And leaned back, her gaze lingering on the bustling cafe. "We'll need to discuss this further." Emily's mind raced, half hopeful, half afraid of what this meant. Had Anne moved even a fraction closer? Just as their hopes began to bind, and S phone buzzed again. With a curt nod, she excused herself once more. As she walked away, Emily's resolve deepened. They had opened a door, even if only slightly. "We need to stay ready," she said once more to Jake, her heart fluttering with a mix of hope and nausea. "Right," Jake replied, squeezing her hand tight. "We've got this." But as they both sat back, the lingering question gnawed at them: would their efforts be enough to win over a fierce protector of business over the warmth of dreams? Time felt suspended, the future hanging delicately in the balance. What awaited them when and returned? Would her next move become their greatest breakthrough or the beginning of their biggest struggle? The cafe hummed with life while anxiety seeped into Emily's thoughts like storm clouds gathering above. She could feel Jake's hand wrapped around hers, a warm anchor in the rising tide of uncertainty. As and moved away, Emily stole glances at her retreating figure, hoping for a glimpse of what lay beneath that business facade. "Do you think she'll really consider what we said?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Jake leaned in closer, his brow furrowed. "She might. But it depends on how much she's willing to change her perspective. You reached her in ways you can't see." Emily felt the weight of his words. Would change be enough for someone like Anne? The balance of numbers and profits seemed to overshadow the very real lives they fought for. She took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. The door swung open with the jingle of a bell, and a rush of cool air drifted in from outside. Emily turned to see a group of children walk past the cafe window, laughter bubbling up like fizzy soda. They were free, unaware of the complexities of adulthood. They were living proof of Emily's fight, and her heart swelled with determination. "Look at them," she said, nodding toward the kids outside. "They deserve this chance, Jake. Every single one of them does." "You're absolutely right," he replied, squeezing her hand tighter. "And the fire you showed and could be the spark that ignites something big." As if on cue, and strode back into the cafe, her expression unreadable, yet softened compared to before. She slid back into her seat, her elegance momentarily disrupted. The usual poise was tinged with something else, maybe contemplation or even doubt. "Let us discuss concrete options," and said, her voice steady, but there was an urgency there that wasn't present before. Emily's heart skipped. "You mean?" And glanced around the cafe as if searching for inspiration before her gaze locked onto theirs. "I need to know exactly what kind of support you're looking for and how we can translate passion into something tangible. I want to ensure it holds value. Numbers matter, but maybe there's room for something more." "I know we can create impact alongside financial success," Jake interjected. His certainty sparked something within Emily. She wanted to impress upon and the depth of its worth not just in numbers but in life-changing experiences for those kids. Emily envisioned the upcoming school year, the new robotics program, art and music classes, mentorship opportunities. "We want to expand our programs. We need your help to reach more kids, create more Ashley and Marcus stories." And folded her arms, her expression shifting in thought. "Investing takes faith. Are you sure you can inspire that kind of faith? Can you really bridge that gap between heart and numbers?" Emily felt the tension bubbling between them. This was her chance to prove it. People want to believe in something that makes a difference. You could be that connection. Instead of just providing a check, you could become a part of the kids' stories. She could sense a shift, the tiniest crack beginning to form in Anne's armor. And Anne's gaze flickered down toward her coffee, lost in thought. The room around them faded, the world reduced to just these three people fighting for a cause. "Let me be clear," Anne said, looking back up. "I've seen passion and I've seen desperation. What I need to see is a plan. Something real, something that shows you can endure challenges." "That's exactly what we'll do," Jake replied, his voice steady. "We'll create a presentation, show you every success we can achieve together." Emily nodded. "We will hammer out specifics that blend hope with strategy." And S' expression softened further, as though an unseen barrier was collapsing. I'll hold you to that. I'll be watching. As Anne spoke, a knot of fear and excitement churned in Emily's stomach. Could this be the launch pad they needed? Hope ignited within the possibility, making her heart race. Anne stood up, adjusting her blazer, but the moment lingered like the scent of fresh coffee in the air. Let us reconvene in a week. Bring that presentation. We will, Emily said, the confidence in her voice surprising even herself. As Anne walked away, Jake turned to her with an encouraging grin. I think we made progress. I hope so, Emily replied, her voice trembling slightly. But we need to be ready, Jake. What if she doesn't understand? Then we find another way. We're not giving up on them. But doubt hung like a shadow as the cafe's warmth faded, leaving a lingering chill of uncertainty. What if this momentum slipped away? Would they be able to inspire and as they had hoped? Emily exhaled slowly, the reality of the coming week setting in. Sweat dripped down her back as she whispered, but what if she doesn't come through for us? The week dragged on, tension wrapping itself around Emily like a cold weight. Late nights were spent at her kitchen table, illustrations and plans strewn about like fallen leaves. Jake's presence was a constant comfort beside her, but even his reassuring smile couldn't shake the fluttering doubts that danced in her mind. Do you really think she'll get it? Emily asked one evening, her finger tracing the outline of a blueprint for their programs. I mean, this is a big leap for someone like Anne. Jake leaned back, folding his arms behind his head. His eyes sparked with determination. I believe she wants to understand. We just need to present our vision in a way that resonates with her. We'll bridge the gap between numbers and heart. Emily bit her lip, the worry too familiar. She wanted to believe him, but what if they failed? What if all their efforts were for nothing? It's just. I can't shake this feeling. What if we can't convince her to support us? Emily, he said, his tone shifting to one of depth. That's the risk we take when we fight for what we believe in. But if we don't try, we've already lost. His words echoed in her heart, igniting a flicker of bravado. She took a deep breath. You're right, we can't allow fear to win. They would prepare. They would show and that this wasn't just about numbers, it was about lives, futures, and creating joy in the world. The day arrived, and Emily's stomach twisted into knots as they entered the conference room. It felt sterile, devoid of the warmth they had in the cafe, but Jake squeezed her hand, reminding her of the light they carried within. Anne was already seated at the long table, reviewing something on her tablet. She looked up, her brow quirked slightly. Ready? Emily nodded, her voice trembling only slightly as they launched into their presentation. They spoke passionately about the impact of their current programs, stories of kids who had found their voices, who had built friendships stronger than steel, and imagined futures broader than they had once believed possible. Each slide was vibrant with colors, each line filled with hope, but then came the moment of truth. Jake laid out the potential numbers, the reach they could have with Anne's investment. Silence enveloped the room, thick with intensity. Emily held her breath, trying to read Anne's expression. The CEO looked pensive, her fingers tapping against the polished table. You've put a lot of work into this, she finally said, an edge of uncertainty slicing through her usually smooth demeanor. But how do I know this isn't just a momentary spike? What if things go south? What if? Because we believe in resilience, Emily interjected softly, her voice firm. We don't measure success only by dollars and cents. It's about lifting these kids up during the darkest moments of their lives. They will thrive, and in turn, our communities will thrive. And Anne's gaze flickered like a light shifting in the wind. For a moment, Emily thought she saw a glimpse of understanding, perhaps even a reawakening of faith in something deeper. I need to think, Anne finally replied, her tone thoughtful but guarded. The finality in the air was palpable. Of course, Jake said, shooting Emily a reassuring look. We're here for questions, any concerns. We believe in collaboration. After they exited the room, Emily let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. What now? She whispered, fear creeping back in. Was that enough? We did our best, Jake replied, his positivity unwavering. Now we wait. Hope for the best and prepare for any outcome. But as the hours slipped by that evening with no word, Emily wrestled with an unsettling thought. What would happen if an S decision didn't align with their vision? Would they hold the weight of disappointment? Would they have to start over? Her heart beat in her ears, fervent and loud. The stakes felt monumental, almost insurmountable. That night, as Emily lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, she realized something profound. It wasn't just about them anymore. It was about the kids, their dreams hanging in the balance. Her heart ached with the intensity of it all, igniting a passionate vow. They would keep fighting. This was only the beginning. But before she could drift off, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message. From Anne. The screen lit up, and her heart stopped. Can we talk? Emily read the words over and over, ignoring the racing tide of panic and excitement within her. What would Anne say? What was she thinking? With a mixture of dread and hope, Emily realized the next chapter in their story was just beginning. Emily stared at her phone, her heart racing. The message blinked, demanding her attention, pulling her into a whirlpool of emotions. Can we talk? It was vague but charged, like a spark waiting to ignite. She glanced at the clock. It was almost midnight. Why was Anne reaching out now? Her mind raced with possibilities. Did Anne want to drop the entire idea? Or was she intrigued, perhaps with questions that could lead to new discussions? Emily's feelings swung wildly between anxiety and hope. She gently bit her lip, trying to steady herself. Should she respond right away or wait? Jake turned over in bed, sensing her restless energy. What's up? He asked, his voice still thick with sleep. It's Anne, she wants to talk. Emily's voice came out in a whisper, the gravity of the situation anchoring her down. Jake sat up, his eyes now wide open. When? What time? Right now, she replied, looking down at her phone, the glow illuminating her anxious face. Jake rubbed his eyes. You should text her back and set a time. It could be a big deal. Emily hesitated, running her fingers over the slick screen. What if it's something bad? What if she tells us she's not interested? But what if she wants to invest? His excitement seemed to bubble over with potential. You have to take that chance, Em. Taking a deep breath, she typed a quick response, sure. When are you free to chat? The seconds felt like hours as she waited for a reply. Finally, her phone buzzed again. Let's talk in 15 minutes. I'll call you. A rush of adrenaline coursed through her veins. Emily set the phone down and took a moment to compose herself. Okay, I need to be calm, she said under her breath. Jake climbed out of bed, his expression now fully alert. You've got this, Em. Just speak from your heart like you did in the meeting. As the countdown began, Emily changed into a comfortable sweater and took several deep breaths. She could feel the butterflies in her stomach, like a swarm preparing for takeoff. The possibilities spun around her. What if this could lead to more than just funding? What if this call could open new doors, not just for their initiative, but also for her own growth? The phone rang, jolting her from her thoughts. With shaky hands, she answered. Anne? Hi. Emily, thank you for agreeing to talk, Anne's voice came through, steady yet resonating with an underlying current of tension. I've been reflecting on your presentation. Here it was. The moment that could change everything. Emily sat up straighter, focusing intently. I really appreciate that, Anne. I hope we addressed your concerns. You did, Anne replied, her tone softening. But I've been wondering what exactly drives you both. Is it just about the numbers? Or do you have a deeper story? Emily felt encouraged by this question, sensing the possibility of connection beyond the data. It's about heart, Anne. Those stories we shared, they're not just numbers to us. They're lives. Kids who deserve a chance to dream and to create. Anne was quiet for a moment, as if mulling over every word. I can hear your passion, Emily. And that's what I need to know. What is your long-term vision? What could this truly become? Emily's heart thrummed in her chest. We envision a world where every child believes in their potential, where they feel supported and loved. We want to build a community around that belief. I see. But it's a risk, and I need to know you're willing to commit to that journey fully, Anne said thoughtfully. Emily could feel the tension in the air thickening, a call for genuine resolve. We are ready. We'll adapt, we'll grow. It's not just about us, it's about every kid depending on this. The silence that followed felt charged, as if both women were navigating uncharted territory. After what felt like an eternity, Anne finally spoke again. Your passion is undeniable. I want to meet again, this time in person, to discuss actionable steps. Joy surged through Emily like an electric jolt. Really? I can hardly believe that. Don't celebrate just yet. We have a lot more to cover, but I'm open to exploring where this could lead, Anne replied, her voice a mix of cautious optimism. Before they ended the call, and added, let's aim for early next week. I'll send a calendar invite. And Emily, I hope this means we're on the path to something special. As she hung up the phone, Emily was buzzing with energy, but with it came a new daunting thought. What if I can't hold up my end? What happens if I falter this time? Jake's hand rested on her shoulder, grounding her. You won't falter, Em. You've already proven your strength. Just keep going. This is just the beginning, remember? But as the day approached when they would meet face to face again, a flicker of doubt danced at the edges of her mind. Would she be ready? What if this opportunity slipped away? The mix of hope and fear tangled wildly within her. Emily stared into the future, knowing this was a test that could change everything. Little did she know, the real journey was about to unfold. The day of the meeting arrived, and Emily felt an electrifying blend of excitement and dread. She stood in front of the mirror, pulling her hair back into a neat bun, her reflection staring back with uncertain eyes. You can do this, she muttered, repeating Jake's words like a mantra. The sun streamed through the window, casting golden rays that warmed her skin, but inside, a storm was brewing. She slipped into a tailored blazer over her favorite blouse, a symbol of her ambition, and for a brief moment, she felt powerful. Yet the moment she stepped out the door, doubt crept back in. As she navigated the bustling street to the cafe where they agreed to meet, the world around her felt surreal. The vibrant chatter of people enjoying their morning coffee seemed to swirl around her like an unrelenting tide, echoing the whirlwind of thoughts inside her head. What if and didn't connect with their vision? What if the chemistry they had over the phone didn't translate in person? Her heart raced as she neared the cafe, and the charming bell above the door gave a gentle jingle as she entered. The aroma of fresh pastries filled the air, grounding her as she scanned the room for Anne. There she was, sitting at a small table in the corner, her eyes scanning the menu with a thoughtful expression. Emily felt a flicker of warmth. Anne looked approachable, and for a moment, that made Emily's anxiety dissipate. Hi, Anne. She greeted, walking over with a tentative smile. Emily. So nice to finally meet in person, Anne said, her face breaking into a genuine smile that seemed to ease the tension in the room. They exchanged pleasantries, settling into their seats, but as the initial chatter faded, the real conversation began to blossom. Emily spoke passionately about their initiative, her voice growing stronger with each word. Anne listened intently, her expression thoughtful. You have such a clear vision, and remarked, leaning forward. I can feel the heart behind what you're doing. But tell me, what has driven you to this point? The question struck Emily like a lightning bolt. It wasn't something she expected to unpack, but she felt compelled to share. It's personal for me. I grew up in a neighborhood where dreams were often sidelined. I want to ensure that kids don't feel like they're not enough. They deserve every chance to thrive. And S eyes softened, and for a fleeting moment, Emily felt a connection. It was more than just business, it was human. As they delved deeper into the conversation, discussing potential partnerships and strategies, Emily noticed something shift in S demeanor. The reservations that had lingered were slowly fading, replaced with a glimmer of enthusiasm. I think what you have is truly special, and stated, her tone firm. But it's going to require all of you no holding back. Are you prepared for that? Yes, Emily affirmed, her voice steady. We're committed. This is just as much about perseverance as it is about the dream. And nodded, and a spark of excitement ignited between them. But then a shadow crossed S face. There's one more thing I need to know if you're ready to face the potential failures, too. It won't all be smooth sailing. Emily's heart plummeted. Failures? The weight of those words felt heavy in the air. That's what scares me the most. What if we don't succeed? Every great achievement comes with risks, and countered gently. Are you willing to embrace the uncertainty with the same passion as the potential success? A mix of fear and determination battled inside Emily. She closed her eyes for a moment, picturing the lives they could impact. Yes, I am. As they continued to discuss, the cafe buzzed around them, yet it felt as if time stood still. Emily felt invigorated, ready to embrace whatever came next, but uncertainty still danced at the edges of her resolve. The conversation came to an end, the sun now casting long shadows through the cafe window. And stood, the weight of decisions hanging in the air. This isn't just about starting something new, Emily. This is about believing in something bigger than yourself. If you're ready to go down that road. What happens next? Emily questioned, her curiosity piqued, desperate for clarity. And smiled, a mix of reassurance and challenge gleaming in her eyes. We'll need to revisit everything we discussed, but I want you to truly ponder what it means to lead this journey together. The finality of Anne's words hung over Emily like a thick fog. She understood now, this was just the beginning of a much larger challenge. As Anne left, heart pounding from exhilaration mixed with anxiety, Emily wondered, was she truly ready for what lay ahead? Would she be able to rise above the fears lurking just beneath the surface? Those questions loomed large, heralding a new chapter in her life, one that would demand much more than she realized. Emily stood at the edge of a new horizon, the sun rising brightly, painting the sky in hues of amber and gold. The cafe from yesterday felt like a lifetime away, but the memory of her conversation with Anne drifted through her mind, reminding her that this was only the beginning. After the meeting, Emily had dived into preparing for what came next. She immersed herself in research and strategy sessions, hoping that she could harness Anne's interest into tangible results. Jake had been by her side every step of the way, his unwavering belief fueling her determination. He often reminded her that their combined passion could create ripples far beyond the walls of their school. Ready for today? Jake asked as they walked side by side through the bustling streets of Philadelphia towards the community center. Today was the day they would present their finalized proposals to Anne, complete with a plan that demonstrated their unwavering commitment. Emily nodded, adrenaline coursing through her veins. This time, I feel even more prepared. We've got real stories to share and real impact to highlight. Jake chuckled, looking ahead. And not just charts and graphs. And needs to see who we are fighting for. We can show her the heart at the center of it all, those kids. As they arrived, Emily felt a swell of warmth in her chest. The community center was alive with energy, children engaged in programs, laughter ringing through the halls, and a constant buzz of creativity. It was everything she and Jake dreamed of providing. "Let us get started," Jake encouraged, leading the way to the presentation room. The walls adorned with colorful artwork from students buzzed with life, as different groups animatedly discussed their projects. With each guest they met, hope radiated from Emily. This was what they were fighting for. The chance for every child to discover their potential, to dream beyond limitations, the cause fueled by love. Finally, Anne arrived, her demeanor poised yet layered with curiosity. "I see you've made improvements," she remarked, eyeing the community center with a slight smile. Emily felt emboldened. "Thank you. We want to show you how much it matters to these kids." And settled into her seat, her attention fixed on Emily and Jake as they launched into their presentation. This time, they showcased student testimonials. Videos played, revealing the smiling faces of children who had flourished because of their programs. They shared stories that struck a chord: the girl who had built a robot for a competition against all odds, the boy who found solace in writing poetry, and the group that worked hard to change their school's culture. And expression shifted, the slight edge of skepticism softening with each heartfelt story. Emily leaned into her passion, her voice steady and filled with conviction. "This isn't just about financial support, this is about facilitating dreams and opportunities. We believe every child carries immense potential." At the culmination of their show, Emily felt an electric crackle in the air. "With your support, we can expand these programs and reach even more children who need it. This isn't merely funding, this is an investment in futures, in families, in hope." The silence that followed enveloped them like a warm hug. The reality hung palpably in the air, and Emily could see the wheels turning in Anne's mind. "Impressive," Anne finally said, her voice steady. "But it's one thing to have passion and another to execute a sustainable plan. Are you two ready to take on the challenges that come with it?" "Yes." They both answered in unison, conviction clear in their voices. "Then let us discuss the numbers and how we can align funding without compromising the heart of this initiative," and continued, her tone grounding something deep within Emily. It felt solid, a fork in the road, not an ending. As the meeting continued, and became increasingly engaged, dialogue sprung up around budgets, timelines, and potential community partnerships. Each moment brought fresh rays of optimism, lighting the path beneath their feet. Finally, Anne leaned back, a thoughtful expression crossing her face, her fingers tapping gently on the table. "I believe we can work together, but it will take all of us, heart and soul. If you're willing to put in the effort, I'm ready to discuss formalizing our partnership." Tears shimmered in Emily's eyes, but joy filled her voice. "You won't regret this, Anne. We'll pour everything we have into making this initiative shine." As they wrapped up the meeting, a wave of elation washed over Emily. She felt the burdens that had weighed her down slowly lifting. They had faced challenges, bridged divides, and emerged renewed, a duo set to empower. Jake flashed her an encouraging smile as they walked out together. "I think we really did it." Together, Emily emphasized, realizing how far they had come. In the days that followed, plans solidified. The school began to flourish as resources poured in, new programs launched, and hope blossomed in the hearts of students. Families rallied, volunteers stepped up, and Emily's classroom became a hive of creativity and collaboration. And amid the whirlwind of progress, Emily always had Jake by her side, their bond only growing stronger. The struggles they had faced made each small victory so much sweeter, every child's smile a testament to their hard work. Looking to the future felt brighter than ever. Emily no longer just saw dreams slipping away but something solid and grand in the making. She had found her voice, her partner, and the very essence of what mattered most: community and love. As she watched her students chase their dreams, Emily thought of the journey ahead. She felt a sense of peace, fully aware that it was just the beginning of something beautiful. Now, as they embarked on this next chapter, she knew they would continue to rise together. Embracing the challenges ahead, hand in hand, heart in heart. This was their moment. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm for more powerful tales that inspire. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this transformative journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation. Show your support.